Hi, I just finished watching Outcome, the Jonah Hill directed film starring Keanu Reeves, and I want to talk about it real quick. This movie is a movie about a guy who's a big famous actor who thinks that there is something. So he's pissed off somebody, he's not sure what, and he has to go into like crisis management mode with his team, his press team and PR team. It's I would say it's an indictment of cancel culture as well as trying to balance the idea of celebrity and um not taking advantage of your privilege as a famous person, and specifically Keanu plays um a straight white guy, and so there's a lot about that. I I think that this was a really entertaining movie. There was It was definitely like worth a watch. I don't think that it holds up in a way that is gonna like stand the test of time. Because personally, like the stuff that like there was some parts of this movie that made me laugh out loud. Um, and like very quickly I didn't remember what those were. Like they were good in the moment. I remember laughing out loud, and my wife kind of looking because we were on a plane and I was watching it. um and so like that's a good thing, and it's Jonah Hill's always pretty funny when he's trying to be funny. And so like it is a funny movie. The part where it kind of fails for me is that like the things that I remember that I think I'm going to remember that are going to like stay with me about this movie is that it's about cancel culture, and it's kind of about um it's kind of like it doesn't exactly know what it wants to say. I don't think like I think it's trying to play both sides of like cancel culture went too far and cancel culture didn't go far enough. Like I think it's true in doing like kind of both, trying to do both, and there is some benefit to that in the idea of like letting the audience decide, but ultimately it doesn't seem to have a clear stance. And what it does to kind of like obfuscate from that point is like inundate you with like imagery and moments of it. So like I actually think like there's some amazing stuff with like I think that Keanu Reeves when he's talking with Cameron Diaz's character and Matt Bomer's character, like those parts work really well for me. And they play as two best friends from high school, and they're kind of yes men, but there's some back and forth there. Um, those parts like are the most heartfelt, real parts of it. There's a couple of he has a scene with Martin Scorsese, which I think is good. Like there are a lot of scenes that work. The Jonah Hill stuff works, but it's a different level. It feels disjointed. I guess that's the way of saying it. Like the stuff where he's actually being a real person with Martin Scorsese's character and with Cameron Diaz and Matt Bomer, and like those parts work really well on one level. On the other level, like the stuff with Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill plays the lawyer who is also kind of the PR manager, and that works in a different way, and they don't work together. And that's what like it doesn't click for me, is that Jonah Hill is very it's a wildly different character than Wolf of Wall Street, but it's that same level of energy to some extent of just like kind of crazy. And then there's a moment where I think we're supposed to see like, oh, he's a real person too, that somewhat works, but it doesn't really like it works outside the context of who he is. It doesn't click well with what he's doing, which I think that part is purposely trying to jar you out of like this guy's a real person, even though he's a nut job at work. Um, but I, it, yeah, the I'm a big fan of mixing comedy and sincerity. Like I'm a apologist for a lot of movies that do it, and that people have kind of said like, oh, it's a weird tone with the. This movie is two different things, and they're not like blending together. So that's my only real issue with it, and I think that it doesn't stick well because of that. But it's worth watching. It's just not like It's not, you're not going to remember it probably in 2 3 weeks. Uh, but there's a lot of good cameos. Like I said, all the people I just mentioned are good in their own ways in it. Um, David Spade's in it, and he's fine. I was actually surprised at how little he's in it, and he doesn't have. He's not like. He's much more like the David Spade we see as when he's kind of like a persona than we see as like Joe Dirt. Drew Barrymore is in it, and she plays herself in a I thought pretty funny. It like her part actually is the best blending of the two to me. Like the because there is some sincerity in her, and then immediately it turns on a dime, and you see like this other crazy side. So yeah, I think that like give it a shot. It's if you have Apple TV, it's free, and it's definitely worth it's not a very long movie. It's actually a fairly short movie, an hour 23. So like I said, it's worth watching. Is it going to be something that we're all talking about? I don't think so.